So we've put the 5 panels on top of the 4 panels. The key part of this is that this bottom panel here doesn't have a hinge system. This is a 9-panel divider. You'll see that panel 1 doesn't have a hinge system, and that's where the end panel will go. We've got panel 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 all with a hinge system. And then when we finally come over to this side, you'll know that at the top, on the other side of panel 9, it will also not have a hinge system on this side. The key thing we're doing here is joining the two together with the hinge system, because it's only for transport that they come into 2 separate panel dividers. So that's as simple as making sure that vertically everything is in line and that the hinge system is sitting directly in the groove. We simply put the hinge link in there and tighten it up with a screwdriver, or even a small shifter, or whatever you've got. So now that we've got the main panels together, having attached the two, attached with the hinge system, the next thing we need to do is put the wheels on. So these are already in position. The 2 single wheels are already attached to the partition. So literally all you need to do is take these bolts out, grab a wheel system and put them back in exactly the same position that they're in. So if I just start from this side, it's the head on this is a 1/2 inch head if you've got a toolkit, or if you've got a 1/2 inch spanner. Otherwise you can just use a shifter, it'll work fine. Everything works the same, it's just how quickly you can go with it. So I take that bolt out, I put it through there, obviously with the wheels facing the bottom. You'll know the top because there's a square nut in the middle, and then there is this wheelbase will go around that steel nut to hold it into position. Just tighten it by hand initially, and then you can tighten it up with the spanner or shifter or whatever you're using. This one you can go as tight as you can go. And then we do the same thing on all of these. By way of distance, you'll know that there's an equal distance between each one of these. So as you're going along, just as a bit of a sanity check, just make sure that as I go, I'm going to be going halfway between these points. With that sliding up wheel move in the meantime. With the end panel, all we're trying to do, this will come in your package flat and taped to the panel. It will actually already be in the same position, as you can see it lining up with these 2 bolts here. Quite simply what we're trying to do is take these 2 bolts out, put that into position and tighten them up again. So once you've got the brackets back on there and they are on those sliding nuts, because those nuts move around a bit, you just want to make sure that you've stayed in the centre. If I measure, the exact centre from the outside of the panel is 33 centimetres. So you can see that 33 centimetres lines up directly in the middle of the hole. So I know that I'm good to go. Okay, now that we're ready to put the end panels on, all we need to do is, you'll see that all of these are hinge systems. There is only one left over that has 3 bolts in it, which is where we're going to attach the end panel. So these 3 bolts will come out. The brackets that we just put on will fit across here, and that will be exactly the same on the top, and then you will end up with a end panel that sits at right angles to this main panel, which is going to be our stabiliser once we get the partition upright. Okay, so these are our 3 bolts. You can see our 3 holes here. These 2 larger holes are for the 2 larger bolts. The smaller hole is for the smaller bolt. Come in here and tighten that by hand. You don't need to go all the way in initially, get all 3 in first. And this 3rd one goes onto a sliding nut that's in the track system underneath. So give that a bit of a wiggle and that should go in quite easily as well. And then just with any spanner you can use just to tighten up those 3 bolts. Once we've done that here, we do exactly the same thing on the top end, and we do the same thing on the opposite side. Again, that will be on this system here, and I think the guiding principle with all of our stuff is wherever you take the bolt out from, it goes straight back into the same position. We've put everything in the right position to start with, so you simply need to take it out and put it back in. What's also good to do before we tilt it upright is grab this transport lock and put it over that bolt there. It should be lined up in position. You put that, and that just stops things from opening up while we're trying to get it up, or when we're trying to transport it around when it is upright. So it's good to put that into that position initially, and now we'll do the same thing on the other side. You can see I've raised this. If you can raise and have something in the centre, some desks will be okay as long as they're no wider than 84 centimetres. It's important to raise so that once we've done everything with the main panel, we can put on the end panels here, which are perpendicular, and that's 33 centimetres from the centre to the ground. So if you've got something 35 centimetres or higher, again, I've used a couple of boxes. You know, you can basically use anything. Just try and work just on the outside of this extrusion here, rather than if it's only a small point in the middle, holding it being central on the panel. Then, you know, there's a chance you can damage it. But if you just stay here and the same thing at the top, then you'll be okay. What we're going to do here is just pick it up and lay it sideways on the end panel. That's the easiest way to tip it upright, so that we do it without any issues with the hinge system, that's all. So if we lay down flat here, then one person can just grab the end panel, tip upright, and then we have that ready to take the transport locks off, which we put on before we put upright. All we need to do is unhook the transport lock. Do the same thing on this side, and then open the partition, which is now ready for use.